What is Polymarket? Polymarket is a prediction market, a website where people try to guess what will happen in the future. Basically, you pick a question like, will candidate X win the election? Or will team Y win the game? And you can buy a yes or no share depending on what you think will happen. Each share has a price between $0 and $1. That price reflects how likely the market thinks the event will happen. If a share costs 70 cents, that means people believe there's a 70% chance the answer is yes. If you buy a yes share at 70 cents and the event happens, that share becomes worth $1. You make 30 cents profit. If the event doesn't happen, you lose your money. How does Polymarket work? Polymarket runs on the blockchain, specifically a network called Polygon, which means it uses smart contracts, code that automatically makes trades, keeps track of who owns what shares, and handles payouts when events finish. Everything is in a stablecoin, a cryptocurrency tied to the US dollar called USDC. That helps keep values predictable instead of wild crypto swings. Because it's decentralized, blockchain-based, there isn't a central company acting as the house. Instead, users bet against each other. That's different from a traditional gambling site where you bet against the house. You don't always have to wait until the event is over. You can sell your shares before that if you think probabilities changed. That means you can try to cut your losses or lock in a win halfway. Why do some people like Polymarket? People like Polymarket because it can turn guesses and predictions into real numbers. It shows what lots of different people believe will happen, aggregated together. This can be powerful if many smart or informed people participate. Sometimes it might be more honest or up-to-date than polls or newspaper predictions. Because money is involved, people are more motivated to think carefully. It covers a wide variety of topics, not just sports or elections, but anything from global events to economics, entertainment, or what-if scenarios. What kinds of problems, risks, and controversies are occurring out there? When Polymarket started, it broke rules. In 2022, a U.S. regulator called Commodity Futures Trading Commission, CFTC, said Polymarket was running an unlicensed trading platform, so Polymarket had to pay a fine, $1.4 million, and block access for U.S. users. Because prediction markets are like gambling or betting, there are ethical and legal gray areas. Some countries block or ban Polymarket because of that. Even though Polymarket tries to use blockchain and smart contracts to make things fair, it's still possible for markets to be manipulated. For example, by people with lots of money influencing odds, or by tricky questions where the definition of what counts as a win might be unclear. There's a big risk if you use it. You could lose all the money you put in. Predictions are uncertain, and winning is never guaranteed. What's been happening recently during 2025 with Polymarket? Recently, Polymarket got permission from the CFTC to come back and operate in a regulated way in the US. This is a big deal because it means regulators are now more open to prediction markets and potentially linking them to traditional finance. The reason they got permission is partly because Polymarket bought a company, a clearinghouse derivatives exchange called QCEX, that already had proper regulation that gave Polymarket a legal pathway back into U.S. markets. That comeback suggests that prediction markets are not just a niche crypto thing anymore. They might become more mainstream, maybe even used more like stock or financial markets. What are some important things I should know about Polymarket? Imagine you and your friends are trying to guess if it will rain tomorrow. But instead of just guessing for fun, you each put $1 in. If it rains, everyone who guessed yes splits the money and wins. If it doesn't rain, those who guessed no win. Polymarket is like that, but for big news, sports, elections, and more, and done on a giant scale. Because money is involved, people tend to think very carefully before they guess, which can make the crowd prediction sometimes smarter than just guessing. But because it deals with real money and future events, which are uncertain, there's always a chance you lose, sometimes a big chance. And the laws about doing this are complicated. Some governments treat it like gambling, some treat it like finance. Here are 5 reasons people like Polymarket. 1. It turns guessing into a game. If you like predicting stuff, like who will win a game or if a movie will be a hit, Polymarket lets you actually see what tons of people think, not just your friends. 2. The prices show the crowd's best guess. If a yes share costs 80 cents, that means people think there's an 80% chance it'll happen. It's like the world's biggest group chat voting on something, but using money instead of emojis. 3. People use it to learn what's really likely. Sometimes prediction markets can be more accurate than polls because people think harder when money is on the line. People who know more or are more confident put in more money. It's like leveling up your predictions with super smart strangers. 4. You can change your mind. You don't have to wait for the event to end. If you bought yes at 40 cents and now everyone thinks it's 70 cents, you can sell early and lock in a win. 5. It's open to tons of topics, not just sports or elections, but tech, world events, entertainment, random weird questions. It's kind of like TikTok trends, but for predictions. Here are 5 reasons Polymarket is risky. 1. You can lose real money. Even if you're sure you're right, the world is unpredictable. If your prediction is wrong, you lose what you put in. No do-overs. 2. It can feel like gambling because you're betting on future events. Some people treat it like sports betting. That's why governments argue about whether it should be allowed. 3. Some people can move the prices. If someone rich buys a ton of yes, the price goes up even if the event isn't actually more likely. So the market can get confused or tricked temporarily. 4. The rules can be complicated. Sometimes the exact wording of a question matters a lot. If the question is vague, people can argue about what counts as yes or no. 5. Laws around it change a lot. Different countries have different rules. Sometimes Polymarket is allowed. Sometimes it gets blocked or has to change how it works. It's a constantly moving target. Sure, here's how people try to make money on prediction markets, explained simply and safely, and not as advice to use real money, just how the system works. How can I potentially make money on prediction markets? Kid-friendly version. Think of it like a strategy game, not something you do with real money. Prediction markets work like this. You buy yes or no shares on a future event. If you're right, your share becomes worth $1. If you're wrong, it becomes $0. Because shares trade before the event ends, prices move up and down like mini stocks. Here are the main ways people try to earn money. 1. Buying low, selling high. This is the simplest. Example, a yes share costs 30 cents, meaning 30% chance. Something happens that makes people think it's more likely. The price jumps to 60 cents. If you sell at 60 cents, you make 30 cents profit per share. This is like buying a Pokemon card cheap, selling it later when it becomes more popular. You didn't wait for the actual event, you just traded the value change. 2. Holding until the event ends. This is like placing a bet and waiting for the results. Example, you buy a yes share for 70 cents. The event happens and the answer is yes. Your share becomes $1. You made 30 cents, but if you're wrong, you lose the 70 cents. This is the riskiest and the most like gambling, which is why adults should teach kids to stay away from it with real money. 3. Market timing, getting in early. Sometimes people try to buy shares before most people even notice a story. Example, a question appears. Will SpaceX launch Rocket X by March 31? At first, not many people know about the event, so the price might be low like Tontine. Later, after a big news story, tons of people jump in and the price rises. Early buyers can sell for a profit. This is like being the first kid to know a YouTuber is about to blow up and buying their merch before everyone else does a time. 4. Trading based on mistakes. Sometimes a market gets something wrong temporarily. People misread news. The event is confusing. Someone rich pushes the price in one direction. Smart traders try to profit when they think the price is incorrect. This is like everyone thinking a video game is bad due to a rumor. You know it's actually good. When the truth comes out, the price snaps back. 5. Arbitrage, risk-free trades. This is advanced, but I'll explain it simply. Sometimes 2 different markets ask the same question or related questions, but the prices don't match. People take advantage of these mismatches for small, safe profits. This is like one store sells a candy bar for $1, another buys them for $1.10. You can buy from the cheap store and sell to the expensive one. Traders love finding these little price mistakes. Small. Here is an extremely important thing to consider before risking money on Polymarket. Anyone can lose money on prediction markets. They're not a safe or reliable way to earn anything, and it's easy to lose real money quickly. But learning how they work is 100% okay. It teaches one, probability, math, decision making, how markets work. So think of this like learning the rules of chess, not actively playing with real money.